If you fell in love at first sight and married your husband and your wife, call us 0508 543
In the movies and stuff, that tends to happen, a fair bit. In real life, though, is it even possible? Okay, I'll share a little bit of me and Libby's backstory.
Oh, cute.
Right, if you'd like to hear.
Yes, please.
And I think this is a little... Josh has grabbed a box of tissues.
You want one?
No, thank you.
I think this is a little bit of that, as much as in our story of how it played out. So I met Libby years and years ago at youth group at church, and I was near the end of youth group age or whatever, guys still hanging around.
Pushing. He's nearly 30, still at young adults. Kind of like what Liana is.
Anyway, as she came along for the first time, we had a bit of a chat, and I was just like, man, this girl is awesome. And we were talking and stuff, and then suddenly it was near the end of the youth group night or whatever, and I looked around and she was gone, and I was like suddenly I just had this panic set in of where did that girl go? And I was like, how did she even come? I've never seen her before. What if she never comes back? And this was kind of before, Facebook and stuff.
You had to get their number.
Yeah, and I've never asked a person or a girl for their number just out of the blue in my entire life, except for my wife.
Oh,
and
cute.
I said to someone else, I was like, hey, what happened to that girl, Libby? I tried to play it cool, but I was panicking. Obviously, they could read it. And they were like, oh, she was just getting picked up by someone. They just left with her other friend or whatever. And I just bolted for the door, ran around the corner, up the driveway, and I saw her getting into this car that was literally just leaving. I just ran over.
She must have been freaking out.
It was like that scene in Terminator, and I clutched my hands into the back of the boot and got dragged through the city. No, I ran over. I just opened the door that she just got into, and I didn't even knock on the window. I just
Oi!
No, and I didn't know. I had no idea what I was going to say. I just was it was just reaction. It was just instinct.
Pure electric energy.
I was being fueled by love, and I opened the door and I was like, "Hey, hi, sorry, you're leaving, yeah. I should grab your number. I need to get your number for and I literally had no reason. I was hoping something would come to me, but I didn't have a justification at all.
So
why.
unlike you.
I just started the sentence. I was like, I need your number because I should grab for the, and she luckily bailed me out, was just like, oh, yeah, sure, cool. Yeah, and started getting it out when I was like, yeah, I never said why, but yep, okay, good. She's fallen for it, okay. Got her number, and then sort of started from there.
Very excited to hear what you have to say this morning, Rebecca. Love at first sight. Did it happen to you?
It totally did. So I'll give you a quick brief. So we were leaving church with a friend heading away on a surf trip day. And he said, oh, I'm actually just going to pick up a friend of mine and he's keen to come as well. I was like, sweet. So I was driving and then this boy jumps in the car and I look in the rear view mirror and I'm like, hello.
I can just picture that too. Darting your eyes to the mirror and then you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so we had the day down in Kakanui surfing and having fun, and then I went home and I said to my family, I am going to marry that boy.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
Wow, that is so cool. So do you claim that surfing trip was your first date?
Yeah, pretty much, because we saw each other every day from then, or at least spoke on the phone, or, the sly text messages were happening.
And that is such a good story. And I love that you saw him in the mirror, too. You didn't even see him. You just see this, opposite reflection of what they look like, and you're like, wowza.
Lisa is on the phone with us this morning. Good morning, Lisa.
Hi, good morning.
Tell us about your love at first sight story.
Actually, I heard his car first before I saw him.
That'll get you revved up.
I heard his car and it's like, whoever that is, I'm in love with him. But we met 11 years ago, next month, and we weren't Christians at the time. We moved in together within a week. Wow. And we've been married 7 years and have 3 daughters together.
Wow.
Amazing.
So it was the car. It was the car that got you. What was the car that made the noise?
I don't even know what kind of car it was. I can't remember.
Amelia joins us on the phone this morning. Can you tell us about your love at first sight?
Yes, I was working in a bank as a bank manager and I was praying for, 4 years. God, where's my husband? I was surrounded by lovely church people, but I was lonely, I just needed my husband to come and he didn't. And I was there where I was like, God, please send my husband to me. And there came this guy into the bank wanting to close his account, and I wasn't at the counter, so the lady at the counter called me up and said, boss, you know how we call you when someone wants to close their account because you've got to authorize it? And I looked up and I went numb. I couldn't react. I couldn't talk. So my legs weren't moving. I wasn't breathing. I think I was red in the face. And I just went to the door and I was hiding behind the door. There's the guy that is hiding behind the door. So there's a guy that answers prayers, guys. And we know, I knew, he knew, and he said, is she okay? I could hear him from the back of the door. And he said, yes, so she just helped him. He didn't close his account that day, by the way.
He was actually, I'm going to stay with this bank, please.
Yes. So
he's like, can we open a joint account, maybe?
Oh, that one, yes. Yeah, so we married within 6 months. I phoned my parents and said, guess what? The man of my life just walked into the bank and we got married 6 months after that.
Wow! Hey, well, congratulations. And so he felt the same when he sort of saw you. He just knew it was on.
Yes, he was blushing. I mean, he was standing there with plans. He was also at a time in his life where he said, God, if you've got nothing for me, I'm just going overseas. So he actually phoned his dad up saying goodbye and went to the bank to come and close his account to go overseas. And when he saw me, he said, geez, but you're so cute. And I was blushing and I couldn't move. And that's when the spark happened. And I think God just did something there because we were both madly in love just by seeing one another. We knew that it was the ones that we were praying for, yes.
Megan, has this happened to you before?
Yeah, it has. I was helping in the kitchen at a children's camp when I was 15. And I met my husband, who was a leader there at the time, and he was actually back in between his 2 years of studying at Hillsong, so he had to go back overseas. But we kept in touch and dated for 7 months long distance, and we've now been married for 17 years.
17 years?
So
wow.
You just knew. Do you just know at 15 you just saw him, or was it the other way around? Did he fall in love with you?
No, I saw him and I said to my friend when I got home, I met this guy and that's the guy I'm going to marry.
Wow.
And then he went back overseas and told all his friends, and we were just keeping in touch. And then he rang me one night and said, so I really like you. And that was it from there.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, cool.
Cathy, do you have a story you'd like to share with us?
Yes. When many years ago, when I was working with Youth with a Mission, YWAM in Holland, and I was working on their base, and when the students would come from the next school, they would put the photos up on the board so we could get used to seeing people's faces and matching them with their names so we could welcome people when they came.
Yeah.
And of course, all the girls, all the ladies, because, you know, it's YWAM, youth, young woman after men.
Nice.
Yeah, all the young ladies would gather around all the boys on the list.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the photos, I pointed at one of them, went, he's mine. And that's my husband.
And Cathy, how many years have you been married to your husband now?
We've been married 27 years.
Oh,
wow.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And the amazing thing is, the miracle is that he's from Poland, and when he was in Poland, they sent him because he was the one who spoke the most English, which was very little. But they sent him and said to him, don't come back with a New Zealand girlfriend.
Oh.
Neville, hello. Good morning to you.
Hi, team. How are you?
Yeah,
very
good.
good, Neville.
Was it love at first sight?
Yeah, sure was.
Aww.
We were camping, and I was sitting on the couch with my mate, and this group of people walked in, and I just looked up and saw this girl, and I thought, oh, my gosh. I hit my mate, and I said, oh, look. And he said, who? And I said, her. And I said, she's mine. And then as the week progressed, she thought I was an absolute idiot. But
Yeah, that seems to be the case of the few men that are texting in that they fell in love head over heels first sight.
then the
Seems
hard
to
work.
be that the girl wasn't really that into
You just got to
by
convince
the
them.
end of the
It
week,
takes
she
a
was
while.
mine.
What? How long? How long did it take?
It took the whole week, but by the end of it, because she already had a boyfriend there with her as well.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
So-
Neville.
They had to get that one out the way.
The ex-boyfriend, and I stepped in.
A few strategic moves there by Neville, but
Married now, Neville?
Yes, been married for 25 years.
Oh.
Josh and Sharon.
that's congratulations. That's so good. And
Beautiful.
And actually, on our wedding day, when she entered the church, and I looked up, everything just went tunnel vision, and all I could see again was just her.
Penny, now, did you have love at first sight?
I did. My husband-to-be came home from Fiji after 2 years' work there, and he had a bright blue Volkswagen, and his eyes were the same colour. He was so popular, I had to get to know this bloke. And we went out to a social on September the 18th, 1964, and then we were engaged on the 12th of December the same year, married the following August on the 7th.
Oh.
That's 55 years ago.
that is so
You've
great.
been married for 55 years, Penny.
Yes, we have.
Oh,
Yes, we have.
congratulations.
And Penny, you reckon it was just straight love at first sight as soon as you
Oh,
saw
when
that Volkswagen?
Well, yes, I did. You see, I thought you can't love a Volkswagen. Then, you know, it must be something a bit more than that.
That is gold. Oh, you guys sound awesome. Thanks for your call, Penny.
Oh, that's so good. My parents' wedding anniversary, September the 18th,
Is it?
day they first went on their date. Philip, love at first
Good morning,
sight.
how are you?
Good morning, so good.
What happened, Phil?
Oh, it was a long time ago, so I've got to sort of rack my brains. I was about 17. My wife now was 15. Me and a group of guys decided to go roller skating for a change. And there she was in the line in front of me with a group of her friends. She's extremely shy. And we got talking to them, and I skated around with her sister and her. And at the end, I sort of asked her phone number. She rattled it off so fast because being a bit shy and sort of not really I think I was her first, I was her first date. And unbeknownst to her, I've got a pretty good recall of numbers. I rang her back, and she actually answered the phone. And I asked for her, and she said, no, she's not here. So I think I rang back again a bit later, and we talked, and that was about it.
Oh,
And then
I
a
see.
week
So,
later-
sorry, Philip. So you rung so you rung the landline, and it's always a gamble when you ring a landline
Oh,
that
you
the
might
parents are going to answer.
Oh, if the dad answers the
Yeah.
phone when you're trying to talk to his daughter, that was the most terrifying. Luckily, everyone's got cell phones these days. You can call them individually. But back then, it was a group phone, and you had to go through that first portal, and it was terrifying.
So, and she answered, but she said, no, she's not here, and what hung up on you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
was
maybe
it
not love at first sight for her?
Yeah.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, well, but maybe she was overwhelmed.
Took a little bit of
funny.
convincing, maybe.
She was extremely shy. And so I met her on, I think it was Friday or Saturday night, and I went to work on the Monday, and I walked up to my boss, who was only probably about 10 years older than me, and turned around and says, I've met the girl I'm going to marry. And yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it took a bit of work.
But you got there.
That's awesome,
Yeah,
Philip.
yeah.
Oh,
Hey, well, great.
Philip,
Well done,
thank
Philip.
you so much for that. Oh, so good.
Live FM. Live it.